Now, why should anyone invest in a green bond? Like I said, I would definitely pardon you if you think, as soon as they say green bond, you think boring. You'll be pardoned for that. But why should you invest in a green bond? I think UN Secretary General summarizes it very nicely. He said, do not invest in the past, rather invest in the future. And green bonds are the future. Like what we said, this thing started only in 2007. The first green bond was issued in 2007. In 2012, which is 5 years ago, annual issuance was just $4 billion. This year, we expect it to go past $150 billion. And we're seeing the growth. I think it's almost over 90% year on year from last year to this year. And we expect to see more next year and so on and so forth. So really, green bonds are the future. And if you think about it again, you see, European countries saying things like within the next decade or so, they're phasing out, cars that use petrol and so on and so forth. So really, this is the future. More specifically to Nigeria, why should you invest in this particular green bond that we have? Firstly, it's the first green bond to be issued in Nigeria. It's also the first sovereign green bond in Africa, and is the second sovereign green bond by emerging markets all over the world. So this is a historic and landmark transaction, and I believe everyone would want to be, would want to be part of that. The second is a twofold contribution. Firstly, you're developing the financial economy by investing, and secondly, you're also protecting your own environment, you're protecting the planet. Thirdly, it's a sovereign risk. Like I said, it's very, very similar to what most of you purchased in this year at the DMO auction. It's exactly the same risk, which is very, very low risk. Next, strong assessment ratings. Obi had mentioned Moody's has given it an assessment of GB1, which is excellent. And this, from a patriotic perspective, this is somewhere Nigeria is actually leading, and I think we should strongly support. Another consideration is competitive. Because it's green, it doesn't mean you can't make money. We're not coming here to say, this is not charity. We're not coming here to say, it's 2%, because it's green, please put your money. No, it's competitive. It will be based on what the prevailing, FGN is trading at. So there's money to be made and at a competitive rate. And finally, thinking about, investors that have ethical considerations. It's quite similar to the sukuk. Now, for the investors who invested in the sukuk, they can see exactly where their money is. They can see exactly the roads that are being built and so on and so forth. It's very, very similar here with the green bond. So there's an account at the central bank where the monies are warehoused. It goes in there. It can't go anywhere other than to fund those projects. So for ethical considerations, that's another investment consideration. Now, in our continuous, engagement with the investor buy side, there's feedback that keeps coming back from you guys, PFAs and so on. They're like, give us a new product. We want to diversify our books. So here we are. We're presenting to you a fantastic product, and we solicit your strong support. The book opens on Monday, and hopefully we'll see a lot of interest in it.
As part of identifying the projects, the ministry issued green bond guidelines in November of last year. And the guidelines adopted what are known as the green bond principles, which are issued by the International Capital Market Association and are generally accepted as a framework that would guide the issuance of a green bond. There are 4 key steps that are required in the green bond principles. You need to identify the use of proceeds. What are you going to do with the resources you get when you issue the bond? The process for project evaluation and selection. How do you then go about identifying those projects? And then the management of proceeds. One of the requirements is that an account has to be created, and the resources that are generated from the green bond are warehoused in that account and ring-fenced, and they cannot be mixed with other government resources. The projects to be funded would draw their disbursement from that account, and that account has to be reported on and monitored on a regular basis. And the final aspect of it is there has to be regular reporting on the use of proceeds and the progress that the projects are making. Hajia mentioned that there are a number of themes that are captured within the NDC, so we try to bring those on board into the guidelines. So energy efficiency, resource efficiency, renewable energy, clean technology, and sustainable forest management, which will form the basis for the projects that will be selected. So if the screening process cannot categorize the projects being reviewed in any of these areas, they wouldn't be considered for funding by the Green Bond. So once the guidelines were issued, the ministry then engaged with what's known as the Interministerial Committee for Climate Change, which is made up of ministries, departments, and agencies across government that have projects that are likely to have an impact on the climate. And it was through that process that a number of proposals were submitted and reviewed through periodic meetings and subjected to the guidelines. And through that screening, a number of projects were then selected, which were then going to be interrogated further. The World Bank, as part of the advisory group, provided a team of consultants who are specialists in those areas. So the two sectors that were selected were power and sustainable forest management.
So that's all about a green bond. The book building starts today, as you have heard, and by Friday, everyone should try and fund those bids because banks are likely to close early on Friday. It's all in the countdown of the week to Christmas. We're not done yet with the stock market, are we? Let's come back after the break.